It's always very interesting to me. I was fortunate to play baseball at a fairly high level. I played, high school baseball, I played Division I college baseball, and then I had a professional opportunity to go move over to Europe and play there. And so was just very fortunate and blessed to have that opportunity to get to that high level. And one of the things that I saw and that you hear a lot as athletes and as coaches is that the mental side's the most important. My path to college it's similar to a lot of people, but different and quite different. And we all face adversity in our life, and we all take risks and take chances, and this was one of the biggest risks I could have taken, going off to play college baseball. I had my mind set on going to Creighton University in Omaha, Nebraska. And I have a family history at Creighton. My mom went there, my sister was there at the time I was deciding. I had two uncles go there for both undergrad and professional schools, and so that was just a place I wanted to go because I knew education was important, and that came first for me, and then I could play baseball as well, right? So what a cool thing to be able to walk back, come back to Colorado where I grew up and be like, I played Division I college baseball, right? What a cool thing to say. So I wasn't recruited by Creighton. They had no idea who Matt Phillips was, and I just decided that I'd go to Creighton and I'd walk on and make the team and go from there. So I went and started classes, and then the tryouts came, and in college, maybe it's changed today, but at that point we had 2 days of baseball tryouts. And I went out with, 20 plus other people, and we went out and ran the 40-yard dash and threw and hit and did all the basic stuff so they could gauge our talent level. And then I still remember it so vividly. I was called into the coach's office after those 2 days, and I literally remember walking down this long hallway, and the office was last door on the left. And I walked in, and the head coach is sitting right in front of me, and the assistant coach is sitting on the left. And that's when, honestly, forever my life was changed at that point because I was informed that I did not make the team and that I'd have to move on with something else in my life. And I say it was life-changing because I think as athletes we all have this identity about us, and it doesn't matter what sport you play, but if you asked about me in high school, the first thing out of my mouth was I play baseball, right? First thing out of my mouth. Didn't matter, and this is who I play for, and this is a position I play, right? And that's a natural thing for athletes to do. And in that moment when that coach told me I didn't make the team, it's as if my identity vanished, and it just completely disappeared. And I was this lost soul just wandering around Creighton University, not knowing who I really was. And through a lot of ups and downs through that, I went through a pretty big depression, during that point. I started drinking a ton of alcohol and going to parties because I didn't know what else to do with myself. And, I might as well fill the time with that. And, the short story of it is that a few months into kind of that behavior, and I'm so thankful for this. I'm so blessed that this happened because I am very competitive, and that comes from my athletic background. Grades are very important to me as well, and at this point my grades were starting to slip, right? And I was used to getting a lot of A's, some B's. I was a fairly good student as well because I was competitive in the classroom. And I walked into this political science class, and the professor handed me back a paper with a big red C on it. And for some reason it made me so angry at that moment that it was this gut check, and this voice went off in my head saying, "Matt, what are you doing? Like what are you doing? Like, this isn't you. This isn't why you came to Creighton. This isn't how you want to live your life." And literally I'm sitting in that classroom, and that was the decision point for me where I decided to stop drinking alcohol from that moment on. I decided that I wanted to redefine who Matt Phillips was. I decided that I wanted to figure out what my legacy was going to be at that university, and frankly what I wanted to tell people about myself. It may sound odd to people watching this right now or listening to this that a C on a paper was the trigger, but it was. And it completely changed my outlook from there. I started lifting weights 5 days a week with a lifting partner. I started to get involved in all these clubs and intramural sports, and I completely redefined who I was, right? So when you asked about Matt Phillips, I could tell you a lot of things about me that I was involved in and that I did, but I could tell you most importantly like who I was, kind of my core as a person. So fast forward a year later, sophomore year of college, and I'm sitting in a finance class, and a friend of mine named Eric Groen leans over to me and he goes, Matt, you need to try out again. And Eric had tried out with me the year before, and he actually made the team our freshman year. So he was playing on the team, and he goes, Matt, you need to try out again. And I go, Eric, I go, you're nuts, man. No way. No way am I doing that again, right? Like, I'm not going to put myself out there, and I haven't touched a ball in a year, and I literally had not touched a baseball since that time, right? And he kept on me day after day after day after day. And I wrote about him in my book as well, but he just kept on me. He's like, they need infielders, you have to try out again. So after some thought and some prayer and talking to a lot of people about it, I decided what the heck. Because in my mind, where I got to was like, what's the worst thing that they're going to do to me? What's the worst thing? Cut me after 2 days? Like, been there, done that, right? So I might as well go out and have some fun and enjoy a game that I love to play. And then I'll just go back to what I've been doing this past year, right? And so I go out for the team again. I'm called in the coach's office after those 2 days, and I had so much fun, man. I was smiling ear to ear during those 2 days, and literally everything, and even running the 40-yard dash was fun. I was enjoying like everything about it, just soaking it in. And I'm calling that coach's office, same long walk down that hall, last door on the left. And I walk in, the head coach is sitting there, and there's a new assistant coach that's sitting to the left this time. And that's when my life was again changed. And I didn't make the team, but they said, Matt, we want you to play fall baseball with us. You haven't made the team yet, but we want to see more of what you can do. And I'm like, wow, okay. So I ended up playing all fall baseball in my own gear, right? Everybody else is in their Creighton cool gear, right? Their swag. I'm like, oh man, I want some of that. But they're swagging, and I'm in my high school gear, and played all fall with them. And then I was awarded a full-time spot on the team. And to this day, I can't believe it. And I'm baffled. I ended up playing for the next 3 years, playing third base. But probably the biggest lesson I learned was that baseball didn't define me. It was just something that I did. And it was something that I was fortunate to be good at and to get to those next levels. And call it luck, call it whatever you want to, but looking back, I was not fully prepared physically or mentally to play Division I college baseball. I wasn't. I was not ready. And that year of transformation, my freshman year, when I first figured out who I was, when I fought through one of the most adverse times in my life, having my identity stripped from me, when that came that sophomore year, I was ready. I was prepared. I knew exactly what I needed to do to be successful. And you're exactly right. I mean, I remember my freshman year, my sister had to drive me to the field, and I had the flu like the night before, so I wasn't feeling good anyway going into that freshman year tryout. And again, I did what I needed to on the field. I was more nervous. I didn't necessarily honestly feel like I had something to lose. I kind of expected that I'd make the team. Yeah. It made me call me naive or something, but I'm like, well, I'll make the team. I just got to go through these couple days. You know what I mean? But I was still nervous. I wasn't feeling well, and my energy was low. There was that additional pressure on it, and comparing that to my sophomore year, I went out there with nothing to lose. I had nothing to lose. I was loose. I didn't care what happened. My entire approach that next time was like, I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to get the most out of this situation, these 2 days, right? And I even joke about the 40-yard dash. My dad used to compared me to an old baseball player named Carlton Fisk, and he was a catcher, and he was really slow. And God did not bless me with speed either. He blessed me with quickness, but not speed. So my dad would tease me that I ran like I was mad at the ground. But even the 40-yard dash, I had fun with it because I knew that if I went out there and gave full effort, controlled what I can control, right, and just enjoy the moment, that whatever's supposed to happen is going to happen. But I knew that I had the right attitude, and I gave full effort and let the cards fall where they will, right? So absolutely, it was so different that sophomore year, because I was focused not on myself, but I was focused on enjoying the situation, enjoying the moment, being present. And it made all the difference in the world. It's that whole thing of, like, you and I talked before about, like, when we have our focus on other people or other things rather than ourselves, that's when we perform our best. I don't care what part of life you're talking about. I would say stop comparing yourself to others, because you're the one that matters. And when you work on yourself, when you develop yourself, and when that becomes the number one priority on how you can improve and the impact you can make, that's what truly matters. I think I fell victim a lot to comparing myself to others who might have been bigger, stronger, faster, and that focus was comparing to what I just talked about, right? That takes the eye off the impact that you can have, and it's not beneficial at all to compare yourselves to others. And it's almost, if you do, you take the mindset and you shift it and you reframe it to, wow, I'm so thankful that he or she has those skills. That's incredible. That's awesome. Now, how can I improve myself today? How can I get just a little bit better today? There's really two. One was my high school coach from the summer after my senior year of high school, right before I was getting ready to go to Creighton, and I had this decision point of, do I try out at Creighton or not, and what do I do? And I remember one game in particular, he came up after a game and he said, you better be trying out at Creighton. And that was that last bit of information that I needed, that push to go try out. So that was one coach that had a big impact on me, just seeing something in myself that I couldn't see. I think that's really important. The other one was my college coach. I told you that, freshman and sophomore year, taking that long walk down the hall. That sophomore year, there was a different assistant coach. And that man's name is Ed Service. He's now the head coach at Creighton University. And I'm very thankful for him, because he gave me a shot. And so did the head coach as well, Jack Dom. But they gave me a shot. And that's the most important thing, is, like, I think when you see something in somebody and you don't know exactly what it is, when you afford them that opportunity, it's just awesome, because you never know what can happen. So I'm so thankful for Coach Service and Coach Dom for just giving me that shot. But Coach Service, he's just one I've been able to grow with and just get to know over the years. And it was a comment that a player made to me, one of my teammates. We were, I think it was at a party a Saturday night, and just the baseball team getting together, and he kind of pulled me aside and he said, hey, I wanted to let you know, he said, honestly, when you made the team, I didn't think you should be here. He said, I didn't think you were good. Then you should have made a Division I team. But he said, you've proved me wrong. And that's just because I went to work and I got after it every day. And what a cool memory that I remember from that. That's the one thing, that's a big thing that sticks out to me. Just earning someone's respect based on a work ethic, because that's the only thing I could control. Absolutely. So Vince Petro is his name. I played with him at Creighton. He's one of my best friends, and still lives in Omaha today, and is a dentist now. And Vince was a guy, when I talk to athletes, I always tell them that you have to pick out somebody on your team that's better than you, that has a greater work ethic than you, that has a better attitude than you. There's always those people that are at a different level. And you've got to figure out who that is for you, and then you try to keep up with them, right? And by default, you're going to inspire somebody else on your team to keep up with you. And it feeds off itself. And Vince was one of those guys. He was a recruited walk-on, right? Which meant he wasn't, he wasn't getting a scholarship, but he had a spot on the team, and he had the work ethic like I cannot describe. This guy would be sprinting all over the place. He would be diving in practice. He would be doing anything he could just to earn a spot, a starting spot, and make a difference and make an impact. He was a guy just always focused on high energy, and he brought it consistently. And they pushed us. When you get to from high school to collegiate level to professional level, I mean, they push you in big ways. It's a whole different world from high school going to college. It's different. The intensity it's raised. It's not as simple as high school. So you have to make the decision are you willing to match that, what they're expecting of you. And Vince was one I always looked at that, man, if I can hustle like him, if I can have his hustle, I'm going to be successful here. And so he's one I watched that, again, I'm so thankful that he and I became such good friends over the years. And, people will, I don't have a picture of him right now, but people say we look alike, and they'd ask if we were brothers, just how we looked. So it was pretty funny. But he's one guy that I tried to match his effort, and it paid off. It really paid off. I've published a couple books now. One is this Unleash Your Mental Toughness workbook, and it really goes through my methodology around what mental toughness means and these different techniques that you can put in place. And in good baseball fashion, it's 10 total concepts, but 9 innings plus an extra, right? I got to follow the baseball path. But it's really, those concepts I put in that workbook are foundational to everything. And it goes through visualization, goal setting, and power of positive thinking. It talks about this one concept of unleashing your winning environment. So especially as athletes, we need to understand where we're most successful, right? Where we've had successful in the past, either on or off the field. And there are certain factors and people we surround ourselves with and way we approach things that define why we won in that particular situation. And so I talk to athletes all the time about understand that, bottle it, take it with you everywhere you go from here on out, because you can replicate success along the way. So it goes through all these different concepts that are really what I believe separates somebody from being just okay to just phenomenal in life. So I was real fortunate to put that out there. That's what I use a lot with my one-on-one coaching clients and workshops when I'm working with different teams. That's what I use as foundation for it. And then I also published a couple years ago this book called Discovery: How to Be a Champion in Business and Life, and I co-authored it with a 4-time Olympian named Ruben Gonzalez, who you should interview, by the way. But Ruben lives here in Colorado. Luge was his sport. And he's the only person, male or female, to go to 4 different Olympics in 4 different decades. And he just has a phenomenal story, and he's become one of my mentors and friends over the years. And I always like to tell the story of how I started that book, because that was my very first book, Discovery. And Ruben and I were having coffee down in Monument, which is down south here in Colorado. And we're having coffee, and we're about to wrap up. And I had shown him at that point, and I still do, I've got this nonprofit that helps athletes through different issues. And we have 10 top themes. And I, like you do, I interview different athletes and tell their stories and all this stuff. So I'd shown him this list of top 10 because I also wanted him, I was picking his brain on how did you start this business? And he travels the world speaking at all these huge companies, and it's just really cool life. So I'm picking his brain on that, but I also wanted to interview him for my nonprofit, right? So it was kind of dual purpose. And so obviously he agreed to do the interview and all this stuff, and we're about to wrap up, and he goes, "Matt, you want to write a book together?" And I go, "Excuse me? I'm sorry, I must have misheard you. What did you just say?" And he goes, "Do you want to write a book together?" And I go, "Ruben," I'm like, I would know where to start. And doesn't publishing a book, I mean, you got to write it, doesn't that take a couple years? And then who's going to publish it? And how to even market the thing? And I'm coming up with excuse after excuse. And I'm throwing right across the coffee table at Ruben. And he goes, "Matt, can you write an article?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Newspaper article, magazine article. Can you write an article?" Like, "Yeah, Ruben, anybody can write an article." He takes that piece of paper I have with those 10 themes on it, slides it back in front of me. "Can you write 10 articles, Matt?" "Yes, Ruben, I can write 10 articles." He's like, "Perfect. Write your articles, send them to me. I'll add my piece to it. We'll publish a book." All right. I left that coffee shop, I started writing my articles at 4 in the morning. I sent them to him. About 2 months later, within 2 weeks, he had his parts back to me, his articles, and we went and published the book. I wish we had all day. You're making this hard for me. One thing. At the end of the day, I believe that it's all attitude and effort. That's what everything in this life boils down to. What type of effort are you willing to give, and what's the type of attitude you have along the way, along the journey and the path? We are going to face the ups and downs. Things are going to go well, things are going to go poorly. If you're trying to shoot for a goal, it's all about attitude and effort in everything that we do. And why I got into this business, why I'm so passionate about it, and why I'm so thankful I get to do what I do and to show my 3 children, you get to show them what's possible. You get to show them when you put yourself out there that it's okay, right? But it all comes back to that I'm going to approach this with an unbelievable effort, right? I'm going to give everything that I have, that I'm going to know when I lay my head on that pillow at night, I couldn't have done anything more. I gave it every bit of energy that I had, because this is what this life is about. It's about utilizing your God-given gifts and talents to their fullest every day. That's what I believe. That's one of the reasons that drives my business. That's my why behind what I do, aside from showing my kids what's possible in this world. I want to wake up every day knowing I gave a great effort. I utilized my gifts and talents, and if I found a gap, I'm going to find out a way to improve myself in that area, right? So it's that effort. Just go after it. Do it. Surround yourself with people who think bigger than you, who act differently than you, and try to match their effort. And then it's all about attitude. We get so worked up about, I don't know, things we can't control in this world of, am I going to make that team? Is that college going to recruit me? And when you get into the real world, the business world is, am I going to get that job? Is this company going to lay off people? I mean, we're all facing things, but if I approach it with this attitude of thankfulness, of grace, of just being positive about, you know what, I'm going to control what I can control in this situation. I'm going to get better every day. I'm giving a great effort. I'm going to put a smile on my face because I'm going to impact people around me because I have that ability. I have that ability, and if I want to do it positively, I can do that. If I want to do it negatively, you can choose that too. I choose positive. I choose to impact people in big ways because I want to show them what's possible in their life. I want to show them what's possible in this world. I want to help them get out of their own way. And as athletes, you have more influence than you know. People are watching you. I don't care what level you're playing at. People are watching. When you become a parent someday, your kids will be watching you. Don't ever think they're not. They're always watching and learning from you. So you have that. If you walk off that field today and one little kid's watching you right now and he or she sees that you were busting your behind on that field and you were sprinting on and off or court or whatever playing surface you're on, but if they see that you had an amazing work ethic, if they see that smile on your face, if they see you encouraging your teammates, if they see you walking with this body posture that's powerful, right, that's confident, even when you're down, even when you're losing, and they see you act and walk and talk that way, that's a legacy right there you're leaving. That's powerful. Attitude and effort. Attitude and effort. Believe in yourself.